Hello, viewers, and welcome to the fourth episode of IET India's Walk the Tech Talk series, Season 2, in association with India Automated. In case you have missed out on any of our previous episodes of this season or the first season of Walk the Tech Talk series, then please do check them out on IET India's YouTube channel. Before we begin with today's session, and I bring on your host for this series, Mr. Pranjal Sharma, author of India Automated, I will take a minute to tell you a little bit about the IET. The Institution of Engineering and Technology is one of the largest and oldest professional society for engineers, a global organization which is turning 150 this year. Now what you see on the screen is what the world of IET India has to offer. So in case you want to become a member of the IET, all that you will need to do is send us an email at indiamembership@theiet.in or simply scan the QR code that appears on your screen. Now, without further delay, I will now call on our host for this series, Mr. Pranjal Sharma, on screen. We will just wait for him to join in. Hi, Pranjal.
Krishnan Chatterjee now. Krishnan Chatterjee is the Chief Commercial and Customer Officer and Head of Marketing for Indian subcontinent for SAP. So let me invite Krishnan, and we're going to be talking about the cloud strategy in a post-COVID world.
Perfect. So I'm just going to be away while I bring on Krishnan onto the screen, and over to you both.
Krishnan.
Hi, Pranjal. How are you?
So good to have you. I can see that you're working from home, but that's really the life for all of us right now, and will be for a bit. Krishnan, you had a very, very exciting career in various stints, but at SAP you're probably getting a great visibility of how things are moving in terms of how enterprises and the business leaders are now adapting and adopting perhaps new practices. So cloud has been around for a while, but just an overview to begin with on where you see things standing right now. Do you see a sudden demand and or excitement about cloud-based services?
Yeah, so I think overall the big change we are seeing, Pranjal, is Indian business is moving from this concept of physical real estate to digital real estate. And historically, if you look at most Indian balance sheets, what we've been good at valuing are assets and labor. So the tangible, physical elements that make the business, and technology really has been seen as an enabler or pushed somewhere down in the cost structure of the P&L. I think that's a remarkable shift that we are beginning to see. That now what was hitherto intangible in terms of value is now coming forward across your front office, mid office, back office. Everything has to change, and you have to now shift to the digital real estate. It's not a new concept because once again, one of my favorite stats pre-COVID was really that the 24, 25 unicorns we keep talking about in India had by 2019 engendered a valuation of which was about 4 to 5% of India's entire landed market cap, and that's over the last 5 or 6 years. So that business model, which is actually a cloud native business model, has obviously accelerated in the way businesses value it. So I think there is a big change going on, and there is a way to look at the cloud market, which I'm happy to deep dive into if you're interested.
Sure. So when you say the cloud market, if I get a bit granular, what would that mean for a company? Now, in every organization, maybe a couple of services are on cloud, where the work, the data does not sit on the servers inside the office. But do you see, what was the configuration earlier and what is likely to be the configuration now between what is going to be sitting in the office and what is going to be on the cloud?
So let me answer that question slightly differently. Let me come supply side back rather than.
Sure.
I think you did it well. I'll come from the supply side back into what the demand side could look like. See, I think till date, the cloud market really from the supply point of view has been positioned as an infrastructure market. And consequently, the leading brands, as we know, are Amazon and Azure and players like that, because they basically give you the infrastructure on which you can drive workloads. I think the shift that we are going to see is if you look at the tech stack, right, which is your network, your infrastructure, your data, application, process, user experience, that whole traditional stack, which still remains disaggregated in the view of cloud as infrastructure. So maybe my infrastructure, network layers, in certain cases, data, that's the piece I can put onto a public cloud, in many cases, a private cloud, and I drive in that fashion. I think the emerging concept we are seeing is a concept called the business cloud, which starts the other way, which means fundamentally, if your processes can run autonomous and automated on cloud native architecture, that means the entire stack is delivered at the point of the process rather than being disaggregated into these levels. And that's really a combination, again, from the supply side of SaaS and PaaS. So, how do you use platforms to integrate and bring new technology, things like AI, ML, RPA, all that kind of stuff, into how the process itself is run. So I think the difference now is as process starts driving the way you look at the cloud market, there's going to be a complete rearticulation of who are the cloud players. And again, going from the supply side, it's interesting that as of now, Pranjal, you will be hard placed to find one single brand which actually dominates from a SaaS perspective as far as cloud is concerned. If you see all brands dominating cloud are in the IaaS or the infrastructure layer.
So, from SAP's point of view, Krishnan, what is the plan that you have to be part of this shift from, as you said very well, from infrastructure to a business cloud strategy?
So I think the way I'd like to answer that question, Pranjal, is through a sort of a what, how, why kind of a perspective. So the first thing is, let's look at the what. Now, and let me, as a precursor, tell you that SAP has a strategy called the Intelligent Enterprise, and therefore the whole business cloud model I talked about, which cannot just be SAP, it will be all the players across the stack coming together to be able to provide to clients a layer which drives process. Now, if process is going to transform in line with, say, a more digital native business model, the what question, I think most business leaders know. So business leaders today understand that either they have to virtualize the front office or make their supply chains more agile or make manufacturing more in industry 4.0, or regulatory compliance could be used as competitive advantage. All those use cases are understood by business leaders. The challenge, I think, is as you shift that business model from what was hitherto physical real estate to digital real estate, like any good startup, you can't do it big bang. So
Right.
you will have to beta it if you want to virtualize. So if you are a physical retailer and you want your entire sales model to move to online commerce, you're going to have to take steps. Therefore, there is a whole innovation journey required as you build out betas, then you pivot depending on insight. So the first thing SAP is doing is we are building that innovation journey, because one advantage SAP has is we have 13,000 people with SAP labs in India, who basically are the largest innovation center outside of Germany that SAP has. So we want to play, and we are working with our clients to look at that innovation journey. The what, as I said, now if you know the what, how do you scale it is the question that you go to next, and that's the business cloud strategy. There we have, as you're aware, Pranjal, SAP has products straddling every aspect of the business, and the SAP Cloud Platform is a fantastic orchestration layer. So that's what we are building out to answer the how question. The biggest question, I think, is going to be, if your business model is now ready, you've answered the what and you got the how, and you're architected along the business cloud. The challenge today is consumption is down. There are three problems that you'll face with your business model. We know consumption is down overall. China has recovered, but it's at 90% former levels. We know consumption segmentally is being re-architected, like you started, right? I'm working from home. We are buying more in-home products. A lot of out-of-home, what we used to do, that is gone. And thirdly, a lot of technological shifts are changing the way we consume around e-com, digital payments, and what have you. Why will consumers choose your business model? And that's where, we acquired a company called Qualtrics, you might be aware, last year for about $8 billion. Qualtrics is the world's leader in a segment called experience management. And experience management, I won't go into detail, but if you are able to, from all your stakeholders, including consumers, understand the experience gaps in your business model and are rapidly able to react, you are going to answer the why question. Why will consumers and customers choose your business model? And I think these three layers, the what, how, and why, is where SAP is going.
This is terrific. I think one clear takeaway is that people should not look at it in silos, but it should be looked at in a more holistic manner, and that's what Business Cloud is. Not specific needs for specific functions, but also shift the whole onus from your client and consumer perspective. One final question, Krishnan, and a short one on that. This journey of change that you're talking about, what advice do you give CXOs and business leaders to approach this journey? And it could be 6 months, it could be 4 years, we don't know. So a quick answer on that.
Quick answer is bring technology into the boardroom. And one of the challenges we face is, I think if I look at CIOs, CTOs, or technology leaders, they perhaps don't even see themselves in the position where they deserve a board seat. And if that doesn't happen, I think the business is going to be very challenged.
So which means that this kind of decision making, as you said, from a business strategy has to be looked at the board and the top leadership, and it cannot be in one department of one company.
That's correct. Any business goal that you have or business challenge you face, your first port of call should be technology, because it can solve it. Everything else, which is your current port of call, which is, as I said, around physical assets, labor, let's put warehouses, let's put trucks, all of that comes at a very high cost to serve and not the efficiencies you need right now. So treat technology as your first port of call when you are discussing the subject of business.
Thanks, Krishnan. And I think that's the deepest insight that we've got in many of our conversations, that if you're looking at a business goal, first port of call is to identify the technology in a holistic manner. Don't look at technology as a retrofit, because that's what's going to be the big shift in a post-COVID world, where technology is going to be the key pillar on which everything stands. Thanks again for joining us, Krishnan, and hope to have you back soon.
Thanks, Pranjal. As always, a great pleasure. All the best.